Uh-oh, big time, big hitter, rainmaking partners in law firms that settled with Donald Trump, at least temporarily, in order to make sure that Daddy didn't beat them any longer, like Paul Weiss, are losing top talent who are either going out on their own or joining other firms. Paul Weiss just lost in the last 48 hours 4 major partners, including 2 that are very well connected to Democratic politics and were the reason that Donald Trump went after Paul Weiss first. Paul Weiss having settled and set the blueprint and template for Donald Trump to exploit when they agreed to give Donald Trump $40 million worth of free pro bono work, I guess as penance for doing nothing but being lawyers. And then other law firms like my former law firm, Skadden Arps, and others continued down that path, $75 million, $100 million, up to $150 million now, giving Donald Trump a war chest of $1 billion worth of pro bono work. But it's backfiring on Donald Trump, as lawyers and law firms who have been targeted by Donald Trump are joining together to fill the void and go after the Trump administration and represent people who have been the target of his vindictiveness. I'm going to cover Paul Weiss. I'm going to cover the departures right here on Legal AF and on the Midas Touch Network. Let's talk about Paul Weiss. I know the firm well, have friends that work there. Somebody that I went to law school with is head of one of their departments. At least last time I looked. 4 major big hitter partners have just left the firm, led by Karen Dunn, who was the co-chair of their litigation department based in New York. She's a Democratic operative as well. She helped Kamala Harris in the debate prep, and she did pretty well there. Bill Isaacson, also Miss Phillips, and Janine Rhee have also left the firm. Miss Rhee is the head of their DC office, or she was. She also represented in a pro bono capacity people who were damaged and injured by the Jan 6 insurrectionists. And they've all gotten together. These 4 lawyers have all gotten together and said, adios, we're forming our own firm. Now, I don't believe that they were pushed out. Knowing what I know about the inside of major law firms, I think this was a voluntary decision. They just can't stomach staying inside of Paul Weiss anymore. Look, federal judges, when they're busy protecting those law firms that have decided to fight for what's right, like Jenner and Block and Perkins Coie and others, they've all been in those orders that have all come out issuing injunctions blocking retaliation against firms like that. You got lawyers you got judges like Beryl Howell who have said, don't capitulate, don't give in to Donald Trump. Don't give him free legal services and a war chest. Come to federal courts and we will protect you. You're a coward, effectively. Well, Paul Weiss is first among the cowards, first one in. Got away, I guess they think they got away cheap because they only had to pay $40 million. But now they're losing not only these 4 partners, but basically these 4 partners departing at the highest level of Paul Weiss is a license to others within Paul Weiss to depart, to leave. It gives them permission. It's a permission slip. Well, if they can leave, I'll leave. Maybe I'll even join their law firm. See, there's a whole series of new law firms that have been founded by people dedicated now to fighting the Trump administration. Abby Lowell formed Lowell and Associates. One of his major clients is Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York. But this departure at Paul Weiss is the beginning of a resistance that we're starting to see at these dozen or so major firms that settled with Donald Trump. A settlement that is really illusory. Even Judge Beryl Howell, in her order in defending another law firm, said to clients, how can you trust a law firm that's willing to give up their zealous advocacy and focus on you under the ethics code? And they're willing, you have to always wonder whether they're just obeying the Trump administration. If you have a fight with them, if you've hired one of these firms to fight against the federal government, you got to wonder whether they're doing their best, their level best, their ethical required best, or if they're gun shy because of the Trump administration. She called him out on that. Now you've got Paul Weiss. Now here's the resistance, right? Paul Weiss, you got these departures. There'll be more. I assure you I'll be back here talking about more. On top of that, you got the establishment of these other law firms that I've just outlined. And now we've got reporting that at firms like Skadden Arps, my old firm, where I started my career, associates are telling Skadden Arps they are not going to work on these pro bono matters. And that's separate from the associates like Rachel Cohen, who left Skadden Arps, right? And is now, doing some amazing work out there in the public sector, in public service. This is a group that's staying in there, collecting their huge paychecks. They get paid a lot of money, let's be honest. These are high six-figure, up to almost seven-figure associates and senior lawyers who are giving up their paychecks for principal. And they've said to Skadden Arps particularly, we're not working on these cases, which means senior lawyers are going to have to do the work instead because they're not going to be able to get the associates. And Lord knows what's going to happen on law school campuses come the fall, which is fall recruiting season for law schools. I went through it, You go, all the major law firms come to a major law school. I went to Duke University, and you sign up. They take a look at your resume. They tell you whether they want to interview you on campus. If they like you enough on campus, some firms will actually give you an offer to enter their summer class right off of that 20-minute interview. Others will invite you to dinner, but still others, most of them, will fly you back. It's called a flyback. They'll fly you back to their home city or wherever you're interviewing for, and you'll spend a half a day meeting 4 or 5 attorneys and partners and associates, being taken to lunch before they make a decision whether to give you an offer to join as a summer associate. That's how the program works. If I was on campus right now, I'll say it straight. If I was on campus right now and I was a first-year or second-year law student, I would not drop a resume for Skadden Arps or any of these law firms. I just couldn't live with myself. I wouldn't do it. It would have changed the trajectory of my career, I'm sure. But I would have had to go on to another firm, maybe Jenner & Block, maybe Perkins Coie, right? That stood up for itself. That's where I want to be as a litigator. And these are all litigators. See the way the firms are divided, there are transactional lawyers and there are litigators. And the litigators are like me, right? They're paid professional prize fighters for a cause. They're pugilistic. I'm a deal maker. I'm commercial. I've done, and I still do plenty of general counsel work. But at the end of the day, I'm in my element, fighting it out and duking it out in a trial setting with a judge or a jury, federal or state court. And so there's this battle usually in leadership within a firm between the transactional lawyers that do either regulatory or deal making, real estate, private equity, taxation, mergers and acquisitions, corporate structures, capital markets, you name it, and the litigators, whether they're products liability litigators or antitrust litigators or civil litigators like I was, commercial litigators, there's white collar criminal defense lawyers. There's always this battle between the two. That's where the world divides. And it's the transactional teams that cut the deals with Donald Trump because they're worried about, they haven't thought about their ethics because they're not, even though they're officially officers of the court, because they are members of the bar, they don't use their bar license the way I use my bar license. And so that has been the rub within these firms. So Skadden Arps associates are fighting back. There's just been a report that Greta Van Sester, the ultra right-wing conservative commentator, is on Newsmax and Fox News and other places. She tried to send a matter to sue a judge. They're big on this suing the judge thing. Sue a judge to Skadden Arps, who said, yeah, we're not doing that. So like, oh, and she tagged the Trump administration. Oh, Skadden Arps is reneging on your promise. See, all these right-wing wackos and wackadoos think they can now come forward and cash in on Donald Trump's $1 billion worth of pro bono services. Hi, we're here. We have a crazy thing we want you to do. And the firms are saying, yeah, we're not doing that. And the associates are saying, we're not doing that. And the lawyers are saying, the senior partners are saying, we're going to vote with our feet and we're leaving. And that's a good thing. See, Donald Trump is having an impact on the face of America, just not the one that he envisioned. We'll continue to follow it all right here. And this bombshell news of the 4 departing senior lawyers at Paul Weiss here on Legal AF. You're here already, hit the subscribe button, come over to Legal AF, the Substack. You're going to love the content there that I curate as well. We got a dozen contributors here on the Legal AF YouTube channel. And of course, the Legal AF podcast. It's almost top 13 in the world. That's because of you. I don't know why I'm pointing to me. That's because of you, not me. It's all because of you. Listen to our audio podcast, watch our video podcast, be here on Legal AF and subscribe so you can get reminders of our content every hour here at the intersection of law and politics. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok Firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popok Firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.